शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्य चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभूत्वाच्च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न च सङ्गतं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेया चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम्
पिता तुम मेरे शरण गहो स्वामी think I'm right. Imshal. No, it's fine. 2 minutes to 4. Tell them to stop. Namaste and good afternoon, dear friends. I'm trying that Baba always told me in terms of military time, you're on time when you start 5 minutes early. So when Baba passed away, we thought we would honor him as he lived, quietly, with steely resilience, privately. He went 6 days actually without food or water, refusing the sedation, even in pain, even when he was sedated heavily. It just didn't happen to him. He was still conscious. A nurse who was astonished declared him forged from steel, iron, and aluminum. Baba often told me that old soldiers never die. They only fade away. But he was wrong. He loved when I told him he was wrong. He forgot about love. And it arrived from all of you in this room, with you all. Condolences poured in, voices thick with tears. Notes arrived from Indian Army officers, from Madras, from Bangalore, from Simla, with whom he had fought 3 wars, diplomats and journalists with whom he debated world politics and history, cricket aficionados with whom he popped champagne, but only when India won. It was strange to see that everybody felt as close to Baba as we did. He didn't have any grades of love, this one for my daughter, that one for my friend. He just loved. To his Zumba partners, he was a feisty charmer. To his bridge partners, the sharpest mind at the table, winning tournaments for Trinidad. To his doctors, oddly, the patient. Tobago remembered him. So many messages came from there. The temple remembered him in St. James, the library, where he once famously borrowed a book on Naipaul and did an essay and then found out he won, and he was the only entrant, and then told Naipaul about it, and Naipaul was not amused. The press that printed his 11 books, they all bore his imprint. He saw everyone. His neighbors, construction workers, security guards, supermarket attendants. He looked at them, really looked. He loved human souls. He always told us, look beyond the physical, look beyond the material, look beyond, he said. So he met people as souls, and he lifted the veils and loved them as they were. On his Quora profile, he described himself as a bohemian, a lifelong student of philosophy who blunders in all fields of human endeavor. And what a philosophy he left behind. In one of his 21 books, he compiled a list of thinkers for his grandchildren, his 6 grandchildren. And among them, Homer, Buddha, Socrates, Aristotle, Epicurus, Seneca, Aurelius, Francis Bacon, Locke, Adam Smith, Mill, Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, Freud, Gibran, Jung, and Gandhi, just a few of them. To his colleagues, Baba was the engineer. To the disaster preparedness teams, the project manager. To young people, a guide. He was a cricket fanatic. He listened to commentary till he actually lost consciousness. A deep-thinking Hindu, a grandfather with fire. He was avid for the world, as if he were in an ocean trying to discover each drop. He spoke to friends and strangers about politics, history, war, and world affairs. He debated, listened, and challenged. He was contradiction and truth, discipline and defiance. A proud patriot for India who loved Pakistanis, poetry, and Pakistani women, who he felt were the most beautiful in the world, and he counted Ammar's lineage amongst them, the Khans from Afghanistan. A soldier of ironclad discipline who also enjoyed a good scotch, and once locked a judge into the bathroom when he was only a captain in Calcutta. He was also an ascetic, but he rode 250 miles on a scooter to celebrate my mother's birthday when she was 21 at midnight with 20 biscuits because he didn't have a cake. Ritual and dogma that excluded others were anathema to him. He was a free spirit and demanded that we be free too, that we think for ourselves. Although he was steeped in army routine, he found a space to break it, quirky and unpredictable. One night, he would take my daughter to a medieval castle and they would drink wine like Henry VIII. Another, a hotel in Grenada, to a hotel without windows, and my niece Anushka was in shock. How do we sleep like that? And he was always laughing at the absurdity of it all. But the greatest love of his life was Amma. When he wrote about her on Quora, he received over 1 million upvotes. The world saw what we always knew, his deep and unwavering devotion. He loved Mummy's face in the light. He loved us children. He talked to Varun, his son, every day. Death was just like a mere comma. It mattered not. He loved my sister and me, running marathons with her, critiquing every article I wrote. Yet it was nirvana that he longed for. He felt he belonged to the whole of human consciousness, the entire ocean. He searched for it in temples and meditated for it. He loved beauty, the mountains of Trinidad, the ocean, the vast expanse of the universe, the constellation, bougainvillea and bloom. He was not a man of expensive or extravagant tastes. He liked nature and beauty. And he loved the light on Amma's face. And conversations with his great-grands, his 6 grands. I once asked him what he would like after his death. And I think Pandit Baldev is already very challenged by us because we know so little. He didn't hesitate. Open a bottle of champagne, he said. Then he smiled. No, make it 2 cases for everybody. Even this past carnival, with the pain rising and the infection spreading, he declared his intention to watch the mass on the street, like he did each year. He loved a girl in a hot costume. Baba, I know that you want me to say that. When his back gave way, he bought a chair that he could push for a mile. He refused to lie down in bed. When it worsened, he went for half a mile, still smiling. Then some yards. Then from home to the car, insisted on driving, although he gave himself a driving license when he was in the army. And he couldn't drive very well. When all that remained was 2 steps, he made it to the bathroom. Up to the end, discipline, dignity. He told me not to grieve because our past is still in the future somewhere here in the universe. And he, as I sat in the balcony with him, he pointed to the stars. So he said, in 2 years, this will be the future, so I would not be gone. And there, he is still there, on the balcony with his beloved books, the news of India, cricket, Trinidad, the mountains, the statue of his beloved Lord Shiva, his playing cards, drinking tea with Amma every morning and watching every sunset. He said, "We are stardust, that our lives are 2 light years away from the future." And he will be here tonight and this afternoon, not on the veranda, Baba, but joyful, not staring at the stardust as we did together, but part of it. Thank you very much. I'd now like to call on his bridge partner and fellow expatriate, Dinesh Moore, to say a few words.
Thank you, Ira. I was asked to say a few words about him and his belief in Hinduism. So, Sitaram. Everybody used to call him Colonel. Colonel Mathur was a staunch Hindu to its core. And Ira, I forgot to mention, Trini to the bone. Actually, this is a celebration of his life, which he lived to its fullest. He was well versed in Gita, and one time, and most of the time, quite a few times, he used to give discourses in various temples in Trinidad and Tobago. I remember him reading Gita to his grandchildren in St. James Pashchim Kashi temple after Sunday prayers. He was very well versed in Gita. He knew it by heart. The 2 verses which I would like to read it, which says in English, "Death is certain for the born, and birth is certain for the dead." That's where Hindu believe in reincarnation. But one does not have a control where he or she will be born, and where and when they die. Just to mention again, Colonel Mathur was born in India. The second verse, the faith of the person, which is, I think I like this one, the faith of the person is in accordance with his nature. The man consists of his faith as man's faith is. So is he. This is from chapter 17, verse 3. He was, as Ira mentioned, he was an ardent player of bridge and followed cricket passionately with a drink, preferably scotch or champagne. He won so many bridge tournaments and will be remembered by fellow bridge players, and some of them are here. He was yesterday, we had a game, and he was given 1 minute prayer and silence in his memory. He was also a patriarch of expert Indian community in Trinidad and Tobago. He was a family man and mentor to so many people in different cadre of life, and he lived his life to the fullest. Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinesh. I'd now like to call my sister, and I recently found that he called her MFD, and I asked him, "Baba, what is MFD?" And he said, "My favorite daughter." So please, Reshmi Mathur, please come and speak about your father.
Thank you all for being here today, for joining our family as we say farewell to Baba. For anyone to get to age 93 and live the way Baba did, fully present in every single moment, takes something very special. His three constants, where everything began and ended, were his love and faith in God, the love shared between our mother and him, and the love he had for his family. It's impossible to sum up his 93 years in a few minutes, but I will try to do my best. He loved every single moment of this living. His sharp intellect, constant thirst for knowledge, love of reading, sense of humor, his faith and excitement for the present day meant every single day mattered and was a special one. Baba was born in Aligarh, India in 1932. He was the son of Nath and Kamla. Throughout his life, his parents stayed close in his thoughts, particularly his mother, whom he adored. He had 5 brothers and a younger sister. His early childhood years were spent in a bustling household which was filled with extended family, his mother's cooking, and his father's friends gathering for lively discussions on World War II and cricket, which alternated with bridge sessions. He was a quiet and thoughtful child amongst his more exuberant siblings. He much preferred sitting and listening to the adults' conversation to playing with them. The war fascinated him. He saw war reels when the family went to the movies. He began to comb the newspapers and get any reading material he could to try to understand the how, why, and where of the war to make sense of it. His love of reading expanded, and he spent long hours in his room reading books from the library, starting with Somerset Maugham, Oscar Wilde, Napoleon, and Churchill. In 1947, with the violent unfolding events of partition and India's independence, he was 15 years old. He was gearing to study engineering. But he used every moment that he wasn't studying to read and write in his diaries. He was completely absorbed by the current affairs of the time. And by now, he had added philosophy and the profound teachings of the Bhagavad Gita to his readings. His interest in religion and thinking about a higher reason for our birth and existence began in those pages. In a diary entry of that time, he asked himself, "What is this world about? Why are we here?" He attended Aligarh University, graduating with a degree in electrical engineering. His love of country and his interest in war then led him into joining the National Defense Academy in Dehradun at age 21, which was his entry into the Indian Army as a lieutenant in the Corps of Engineers. He was a true patriot who loved and fought in 3 wars for his country. He described so many events where his life could have ended and somehow was miraculously saved. It led to a deep gratitude and appreciation of every moment that came afterwards. The Army slogan was, "The safety, honor, and welfare of your country comes first. The safety, honor, and welfare of your men comes next. Your own welfare and comfort come last and always, every time." He carried this powerful slogan through into his personal life. Being an Army officer, there were beautiful and enduring friendships made, and a development of the understanding that there was so much fun to be had. The officers gathered in the officers' mess in the evening, dressed smartly for dinner, drinks, conversation, laughter, and camaraderie. Baba, all through his life, drew from that early start of how to live well and fully. So whatever he did, he made it joyful, fun, quirky. Anything and everything had possibility. The first of his 3 risky excursions in the army took him to the snowy Tibetan mountains in 1957 for 5 months. Being in the Himalayan mountains strengthened his belief in God, the vastness of the universe, and our role in this play of life. Army life meant he lost many friends in battle. He carried that grief and memory throughout his lifetime. It served to remind him daily to live fully and completely. In 1958, he was posted to Bangalore at the age of 26. He described in his writing the anticipation of arrival there as feeling like going to a new constellation, looking for my star. In addition to his day duties, the evenings again provided room for quirky happenings, like the invitation card that said, "Come dressed as a book." Army rules meant being perfectly pressed, neat, and orderly. Baba arrived at the party with his shirt peeking out of his trousers, looking slightly untidy, so consider this a fair representation of the book Gone with the Wind. The arts intrigued and interested him. He started learning French, sketching and drawing, and finally the piano, which would set his life's path. He was advised to go to Mrs. Hunt's house, an 88-year-old piano teacher whose vision and hearing were poor. But on his arrival, he was greeted by her two 60-something-year-old bachelor sons, wanting to arrange her upcoming birthday party. So they engaged him in the preparation. The date was July 20th, 1958, a day etched in his memory forever, the day he met our mother. She too took piano lessons and was at the party. He wrote later in his diary, describing her as a majestic beauty who dwelled in my imagination for a lifetime. Each student was asked to play a piece. Our mother played hers, and he was still on one finger on the keys, having had only one lesson. He describes her mischievous, smiling face at him, and that was their start. We have all heard this story so many times, because for all time it remained his most precious memory. Again, in his words, to reminisce is always to have the same precious sense of exaltation and adulation that has remained all these decades. He had found his star. He won our mother over very quickly, but then he also had to win over her mother. So he had to arrange other music evenings engineered by Mrs. Hunt's two sons, movie screenings, and walks in Cubban Park and Lal Bagh with our grandmother as chaperone. He took up palm reading and on one walk looked at hers and told her three things. You worry too much, you need constant love, and you will be my wife. Her return look told him that the deal was sealed. And that was the beginning of a love story that has lasted 64 years. They were married in 1960 and had a son, our brother Varun, followed by my sister Ira, and then me. Baba left army life in 1975, wanting to experience more, to travel and work abroad. A chance meeting with Horace Brooms, who was the Deputy High Commissioner in Delhi at that time, led to a job offer in Tobago to build the Claude Noel Highway, and so began phase 2 of his life. The tiny, beautiful island that became his second home took his breath away. He fell in love with the sea, the mountains, the bougainvillea, the stars, the accent, everything. He was interested in cricket in India, but being here intensified his love of the game. In our childhood years, I remember him staying up late or getting up early, listening to the crackly sounds on a dial radio to keep up with the games being played against India or Pakistan. He was such a disciplined man. He loved routine and order. He started each day sitting outside in the morning light saying his prayers, beginning and ending them with the words Om 3 times. He fully committed himself to the divine. He believed in duty, good actions, detachment, karma, and that this earthly form passes into another, that the actions of this life would determine the next one. Daily meditation and reading from the Gita remained a lifelong morning ritual. He was a man of infinite contrasts. Things had to be just so, but he also drew outside the lines, and now in hindsight I see so much of what he did was outside his comfort zone. He always just took leaps of faith, big and small, and was willing to try anything and everything. He decided he wanted to learn French again. He took lessons, and then he thought he would learn to draw. He did it by a correspondence course, and then cooking, and then growing vegetables, and then reading the entire encyclopedia, and then going off at age 67 to trek in the mountains of Nepal. The answer to everything life offered was yes. For Varun, Ira, and me, our years in Tobago, although carefree in so many ways, with the drives to Charlottesville, moonlight picnics in the fort, and Pigeon Point, the years were ones that were strongly bookended with gaining an education. He pushed us to study, to be more, to expand, to be everything we could. When we didn't believe in ourselves or think we could, he did. He was so excited by the work that all three of us did, always encouraging us to push boundaries. Every single conversation with him was interspaced with the reminders of do good, keep your equilibrium at all times, and keep God in your heart. When Varun left us in 2006, even with the biggest heartbreak anyone could ever face, he continued to live, absorbing his own grief into him and embracing the light, first for Amma, and then for us, and then himself. This was his continued honor to Varun. While he loved his children, the love he had for his 6 grandchildren was at a whole different level. His gift to them was time and love. He saw each one of them for who they were. They formed the Grandchildren's Club and made them promise to always stay close to one another. He cooked for them, took them to the temple every Sunday, talked and laughed with them, traveled with them, taking them one by one to different countries, teaching them all the time to be brave, selfless, and joyful, no matter what they were doing. When his 3 great-grandchildren arrived, he was bowled over again, and with a different love, he saw Varun in Khalik and Nathaniel's faces. He reveled in the gentle beauty of Alia. They filled his cup to overflowing. When the world became digital in the late 90s and early 2000s, he would not be left behind. He learned how to be comfortable with a computer very early on. He started writing more, reading more, and wrote 11 books that chronicled his life, dedicating each one to each of his beloved grandchildren and us. I'm going to skip some. His memory stayed razor sharp all his life. The past was stored in neat files in his brain, from which he could recall dates, names, places, incidents, and the feeling he had at any given time. Every conversation was interesting. He was always able to tie the past with the present, giving humor and knowledge in each one. In 2018, with a cancer diagnosis at age 85, his love for life intact, he fought successfully, but not without compromise to his strength. Getting older takes courage. When your body can't do what your mind can, it's very tough. With every limitation his body presented, especially with mobility, he still pushed through. He drove himself up to 3 weeks ago. He never complained, never despaired, never gave up on life. This part of him is one. The biggest and best part of him was our mother. Up to 2 years ago, he and our mum would drive to the Botanic Gardens, sit on a bench, and read together. They loved talking, teasing, laughing, reminiscing, and shared a deep and abiding love. One of the most endearing things I ever heard from them was once I saw them both standing in the kitchen, sunlight filtering through the window, and he looked at me and said, "Look how beautiful your mother is in this light." He thought the world of her. They held hands every single day, showed one another such warm affection and love with their words and actions. She cooked and looked after him and didn't want anyone else to do it for him. He would see everything with her as an adventure. They still went off to lunch by themselves, walked together in the evenings, and when he couldn't, sat together, loving the feel of the breeze and being outside. I heard them say, "I love you" to one another every single day, every single time I saw them. And their gift was sharing 64 years together. Love is where they started, and really, he danced her to the end of love. The best way that we as a family can honor our father is to live fully, with joy, and facing the light. with love. Nothing would make him happier than seeing us strong, united, and looking after one another. And we will. Baba was not with us in this physical form, but I know with absolute and complete certainty that he will be our guardian angel throughout our lives, all of us. I want to end by thanking you all, from all of us, for an outpouring of love, for sharing your memories of him, and for showing us how many lives he touched. It has helped us all so much. I also want to sincerely thank the doctors who cared for him these final weeks, Dr. Nimrod, Dr. Foster, Dr. Bartholomew, and his grandson, Dr. Aaron Mathur Fairfield. They all acted with singular purpose and added boundless love, care, compassion, and kindness through his tough days, going above and beyond everything. Baba, we promise to look after Amma like the gold dust that she is, the way you have all your life. Fly free now, eyes open and into the light. Om Shanti Shanti.
Now you know why she was MFD. I'd now like to call on Anika, his eldest granddaughter. Sorry? Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that. I would like to call on Anika to speak on behalf of all the 6 grandchildren.
Baba's grandchildren, myself, Kiran, Priya, Sanjana, Anushka and Arun, were lucky enough to be at the front row seat to Baba's heart. Cloaked in his love, we were taught lessons from ancient scriptures, the importance of giving back, the joy of honey-colored light, mountains, the poetry of life, the importance of family, and to swallow the world with joy, curiosity, and lightness. He took each of us traveling in different parts of the world, and his stories took us from Napoleon battlefields to ancient India, Socrates to Nietzsche, Persian architecture, empire, religions, so that sitting on the floor in his living room, surrounded by bougainvillea, sipping his homemade soup, we saw our lives to be bigger than we could have ever imagined. I love you, Papa. Every part of you is just another part of me. I'll share some of the words from my cousins. Kiran wanted to say the last thing that Baba shared with him from Adi Shankara. I have no duty, nor any purpose, nor any desire, nor even liberation. I am indeed that eternal knowing and bliss, the auspicious, pure consciousness. Sharing a message from Anushka, who is in Edinburgh. I always knew and felt how deeply loved I was by Baba. The lessons I learned from him were not from what he told me, but how he lived, lovingly, fully, and joyfully. Sharing from Arun, who is in New York. Colonel Mathur was more than a grandfather. He was our guiding light, our storyteller, our teacher in life's greatest lessons. Every weekend, he gathered us with the wisdoms wrapped in love, reminded us of the beauty in life, the strength of family, and the joy in every moment. Even in his final days, he remained a warrior we always knew him to be, peaceful, strong, and unwavering. His name, his love, and his spirit will live on in us forever. We love you always, Baba. And sharing a message from Pri. She is the eldest granddaughter, blessed to have had the most extraordinary grandfather who shaped her life, mindset, and faith. From Pri, he introduced me to spirituality, taught me the value of time, presence, and family, and showed me how to be a good person, host, and friend. Baba instilled a deep sense of duty, togetherness, keeping us united through Sunday brunches, family adventures, and the Grandchildren's Club. From teaching me how to set a table to crafting the perfect itinerary whilst embracing spontaneity, he made every moment meaningful. I will cherish and miss him forever. To close, I wanted to read a short passage from the Gita, which he would always read to us, and he quoted in his book when he was 27 and through many conversations later on. Just as a man casts off his worn-out clothes and puts on new ones, so also embodied self casts off worn-out bodies and enters ones which are new. Weapons destroy it not, water moistens it not, wind dries it not. Thus self cannot be cut, nor burnt, nor moistened, nor dried up. It is eternal, all-pervading, stable, immovable, and ancient. The self is said to be unmanifest, unthinkable, and unchangeable. Therefore, knowing this to be as such, you should not grieve.
Thank you, Anika, and sorry about my mistake, Priya. You are the eldest and very, very beloved grandchild. Just a few days before Baba died, he sent me a forwarded message that he found on LinkedIn with a note. And he said DPPNP, that was Dolly, Polly, Pudding, and Pie. Embarrassing, but yes. He said, this, Dolly, is my life. And I want to very quickly read it. Someday you will cross the Antim Pag. The sun will hide behind a sea of berries tossed into the air, and the ground will tremble with the weight of last set of push-ups that you do alongside your course mates. There will be stars on your shoulder, but the one in your eyes will shine brighter. The lump in your throat will be heavier than your racing heartbeat as you march out of the academy gates for the last time, leaving behind more trunks of memories than the front rows you ever did. Someday you will go to your own battalion, and it will feel like the best in the world, until the morning after your dining and night when the CEO calls for PT at 5 a.m., despite the countless glasses of neat whiskey he made you drink the night before. You'll curse your DM's boots then, but you'll know your battalion is home. A home where the kids adore you, where senior officers' wives treat you like their own, and the warmth is endless, much like the rounds of beer. Someday you'll get married, and your wife won't be welcomed with quiet normalcy. She'll be greeted with cheers and an army truck ready to take her on a full recce of the entire cantonment. Someday you'll have children, and you'll teach them how to swim the Fauji way, which means the army way, by tossing them straight into the pool. Your kids will learn to make welcome home cards before they can learn the alphabet, and this is true. And they'll guard their dependent card more fiercely than their report cards, because failing a class is far better than losing that card. But someday, you will hang up that uniform. You'll leave the olive green, but the olive green will never leave you. You'll grow old with your wife, your children, and your grandchildren. But the stories of your service and courage and camaraderie will live on. Your 5 a.m. wake-ups will persist, and your Ray-Bans will remain tucked neatly in your bedside drawer. And every single day, you'll thank the stars, not the ones in the sky, but the ones that once adorned your shoulders, for giving you a life less ordinary. They will call you a jolly good fellow. One last time. But you and I know he'll always be a jolly good fellow. Thank you. I would like to now call on Pandit Baldev to do his last rites for Baba. Thank you.
Bolo Vishnu Bhagavan ki jai. So at this time we do the Pavitri, the purificatory rites for the yeah.
Govindaya Nama Vishnave Nama Madhusudanaya Madhurkramaya Nama Vamanaya Nama Sridharaya Nama Rishikeshaya Nama Padmanabhaya Nama Damodaraya Nama Sankarshanaya Nama Vasudevaya Nama Pradyumnaya Nama Durgaya Nama Purushottamaya Nama Dukshajaya Nama Narasimhaya Nama Achyutaya Nama Janardanaya Nama Upendraya Nama Shri Hare Nama Om Shri Krishnaya Nama अपवित्र पवित्रो वा सरस्तांगतोऽपि वा यः स्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्षं सभायभ्यन्तरः शुचिः ॐ पुण्यां 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 ॐ कीलकं च महापुण्यं महापाशकनाशनम् आपदहरिते नित्यं ललाटे हरिचन्दनम् पवित्रेस्तो वैष्णव्याः सविदुर्वाः प्रसवपुनां यचिद्रेन् पवित्रेन् सूर्यस्य रश्मिभिः तस्य ते पवित्रपते पवित्रपूतस्य पुनि तचकेयं मां पवित्रं धारणम् असि.
Bolo Vishnu Bhagavan ki jai. So we have come together to join in the final rites of the departed. Pandit Badis, who also knew the Colonel, you all call him the Colonel, right? Knew him very closely, like myself. We both knew him very closely, and we are here to join together in performing the final rites. You know, something I was sharing with Pandit Badis when he picked me up, and I said, you know, I have never told this to anybody. And after I told him, he says, yes, you told me that. So I hope I didn't tell anybody else. Few years ago, he came to me and he said, Panditji, when I die, I want you to do my final rites. I said, I cannot make that promise. I don't know where I would be at that point in time. But once I am in Trinidad and I am asked, the first thing is I have to be asked, then definitely I will perform the final rites. So we are here to perform the final rites. Sankalp, give him a flower. So we are going to do the Sankalp. That is, you are taking a declaration that today it's the Hindu month of Chaitra. It is the Krishna Paksh. You know, we have our own way of counting, right? So it is the Hindu month of Chaitra, the Krishna Paksh, dark fortnight. It is now the Panchami or 5th lunar day on this Tuesday to perform the final rites for the departed. Mahendra is his Rasi name. That's the only name we know, right? Mahendra Mathur. Yep, somebody, if it's not correct, Mahendra Mathur is his. Mahendra Nath, yes, I think I saw. Mahendra Nath Mathur. So you, what's your? Kiran. So Kiran is going to perform these rites for the departed. Om Vishnu Vishnu Vishnu. Om Namaha Om Paramatmane Namaha. Om Srimad Bhagavato Mahapurusasya Vishnuragye Pravatamanasya Dhabrahmano Dvite Prararati Vishnu Prade Siryasveta Baraha Kalpe Vaivasvatmanavantari Ashtabhinasatitame Kalyuge Kali Pratham Charane Trinidadis Chadeshe Port of Spain Grame Amuksthane Arvat Brahmadeshe Punya Chetre Baudautare Vartaman Yatanam Samvatsare Krodhi Samvatsare Amuk Ayane Uttarayane Amuk Mase Chaitra Mase Krishna Pakshe Panchami Tithauyam Mangal Vasare Vishakha Nakshatre Amuk Yoge Harshan Yoga Amuk Karane Kaulav Karane Surya Min Rasi Sthiti Yatha Yatha Rasi Saneshu Teshu Amuk Nam Jajmanasyaha Kiran Nam Jajmanasyaha Amuk Pretasyaha Mahendra Nath Mathur Pretasyaha Antishti Karam Aham Karishye. Say Om Krishna Arpanam. Water for time to sprinkle. So at this time I invite you all to stand as we perform the final rites, paying our final respects to the departed. Om Adya Amuk Gotrasya Amuk Pretasya Mriti Stane Shaunimit Snanam Maya Diyate Tavo Patishtitam. Chandan. They might have. They have essence in the back. Yeah, good. Essence. Om Adya Amuk Gotrasya Amuk Data Kirandata Adya Amuk Pretasya Mahendra Nath Mathur Pretasya Mriti Stane Shaunimit Tilakam Maya Diyate Tavo Patishtitam. Om Adya Amuk Gotrasya Amuk Data Kirandata. Just sprinkle. Right hand. Use your right hand. Use your right hand. You could use it out. Just Amuk Data Mahendra Nath Mathur Data Idam Gandham Maya Diyate Tavo Patishtitam. Yeah. Om. Right. We have enough there. Let him nicely put some around, like a circle. You could put it around there. Yeah. Om Adya Amuk Gotrasya Kirandata Adya Amuk Pretasya Mahendra Nath Mathur Pretasya Mriti Sthane Shaunimit Pushpamala Maya Diyate Tavo Patishtitam. Right. So Arati, you wave in it slowly, right? Very slowly. Om Yamadware Mahagore Andhena Tamasavrite Chatta Avalokanarathaya Deepoyam Tavo Patishtitam. Jai Krishna Hare Sri Krishna Hare Dukhiyon ko dukha dur kare. Jai 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 Krishna Hare Jai Krishna Hare Sri Krishna Hare Dukhiyon ke dukha dur kare. Jai 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 Krishna. We sing praises to Bhagwan Krishna. Jai Krishna Hare Sri Krishna Hare Dukhiyon ke dukha dur kare. He is the one who takes away the grief. When we are looking for solace, who do we turn to? We can give limited solace as family, friends, others, members of the community. But Bhagwan, he gives that ultimate solace in time of grief, in time of need. Jab char taraf andhiyara ho, आशा का दूर के जब चार तरफ, चार four taraf sides, so when all around जब चार तरफ अंधियारा, darkness, when there is darkness all around, जब चार तरफ अंधियारा हो, आशा का दूर किनारा हो, and there is no hope anywhere to be found, और कोई न खेवन वाला हो, and no one to ferry us across the turbulent waters. तुम ही बेड़ा पार करो. You, O Bhagwan Krishna, you become that बेड़ा पार to take us across the turbulent waters. जब चार तरफ अंधियारा हो, आशा का दूर किनारा हो, और कोई न खेवन वाला हो, फिर तू ही बेड़ा पार करो. जय 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 कृष्ण. Give me some flowers to offer prayer at this time. Let us all join our hands together, clasp our hands, offer this prayer in our own way that we seek the grace and blessings of Bhagwan on the departed. Om Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Madutaha Stunavanti Divyairastavair Vedai Sangha Parakramopanishadair Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastitaragatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na Vidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Bolo Vishnu Bhagavan ki jai. You all may be seated at this time. So once there is birth, there is death. That's an accepted fact. Whether we truly accept that death will knock at our door. And times like these is a stark reminder that death will visit. Death will come one day. But you know, in our ignorance, we don't accept that. And we're all guilty of that level of ignorance. We don't accept that death will come. When do we truly accept death will come? So if I'm to ask, let me not ask you, I'm asking myself. Will you die? Yes. Today? No. Tomorrow? No. Next year? No. Then I haven't accepted death. I will only truly accept death if the reality strikes me that I can die at any moment. Don't worry, I have a few years yet. So I haven't reached that level of acceptance. I don't know where you all are. Maybe some have reached that reality. We are striving to reach that reality. But death will come. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says, just as boyhood, youth, and old age are attributed to the soul through this body, even though it attains another body, the wise man does not become deluded about this. So a child is born, boyhood, youth, the child grows into youth. Does anybody sit and cry that the child has grown into youth? From youth, you go to old age. Anybody lament that this person has become old? After old age, what's the next stage? Death. After old age, the next stage is death. It's a natural process. So he says, as death will come, birth will come again. For he who is born will die. And for he who dies, he will take birth again. Why? Because of our karmic bandhan. Because of our karmas, we are here to work out the karmas of our past life. That is what we are here for. But what we do, while we are working out some, we are creating some more. So we have to come again. And then we keep creating and working out, and it is only when we would have worked out our every karma. It is only when you would have paid off the bank every last penny, you are freed from that commitment to the bank. When we would have paid out our every karma, we would have freed ourselves from that bondage, the cycle of birth and death. Then we would truly be free. We will attain moksha or liberation. You know, the last couple of years, whenever I always enjoyed Mr. Mathur when he would come to the mandir, and the moment he steps in, this big smile, and he's walking, coming up to do his offering, and when he would sit there, he always called me Guruji. I don't know for what reason. And I always felt, you know, not very comfortable because of his spiritual life, his religious life, what he has achieved. He would say, Guruji, all I want, help me. I want to attain that liberation. He says, all I want is to meditate and to attain liberation. And this is something he talked with me about all the time. He says, help me, pray for me, assist me. And I says, you are on the right road. Once that is on his mind, he's on the right road. And he understood the Nirvana Stotra, I think. I think most of us are very much aware of that stotra. Mano buddhi hankar chittani naham nacha srotra jihave nacha grana netre nacha bhyoma bhumi na tejo na vayu chidananda rupa. We know it. Shivoham, Shivoham, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. Mano, I am not the mind. Buddhi, the intellect, I am not. Ahankar, the ego, I am not. The chit, the thought, I am not. The ears, I am not. The nostrils, I am not. What am I? Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, Shivoham. I am a spark of that divine. All these help me. The physical body helped me on this journey. But ultimately, I am a spark of that divine being. And when I pay off that bank account, I will once again merge in oneness with that divine being. The ultimate goal of the human birth is to attain moksha or liberation. We can only hope, and I think Mr. Mathur, in our discussions that we would have very briefly, just for a moment when he come to the mandir, but that was like sitting for long periods, just those few words, expressing those few words. I know he was striving for this Shivoham, Shivoham, to merge into oneness with God. As I knew him, I think Pandit Badis knew him even more closely, and he is here to join in the ceremony and in the moment at this time for the final rites. So I will invite Panditji to share some of his own thoughts at this time. Panditji.
Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki, Ram Naam Satya Hai, Ram Naam Satya Hai, Ram Naam Satya Hai. So I'm looking at the watch also. So I just want to share a thought because, you know, it was very pleasant to see the photograph when I came in here, because for the last 33 years, this is the only way I know the late Colonel, with that kind of sincere and genuine smile on his face. The officer and the gentleman, I didn't know that segment of his life. But he was always one. He was always one. While he had the bridge and all the other activities, social and other activities, he also had that love for God. You know, many times we get so overwhelmed by the world that we forget we have to leave the world. The world, we all have to leave at some point in time. But how we prepare, that's the distinction between each and every one of us. who has prepared better for exit of this material mortal world, and who has made no preparation, or some, and along the whole classification, various levels of preparation. But the late Colonel Mathur, as Pandit Baldev said, he would always be in the mandir. Hardly, I've been at Paschim Kashi for 33 years, and hardly he missed a Sunday. If he missed a Sunday, it's because he wasn't in the country. And he will be in the main hall, joining everybody in prayer. And when everybody has left, he will revert to the back mandir, and one would hear him for several minutes. He will be chanting Om Namah Shivaya, or whatever it is he would want to do. And he would have Priyanka and Sanjana there with him, and others from time to time. The point we are making this evening, and you heard from the very, very erudite and literary presentations, so I'm sure Dr. Tiwari would have taken note, because this was the nature of how he brought up his children and grandchildren. But he always had that very important part of him. And he had, as you heard also, he had that way of presenting in a very sincere and genuine manner, making everybody think you are the best. So he will tell me, and I'm sure he would have told Pandit Baldev, there's no Pandit in India better than you. Yes, he said that. And he may have told all the Pandits in Trinidad that. But, you know, this was the nature of someone who is genuine and someone who is sincere. He's not looking to find fault. You know, in the world of work and in the world of vocations, sometimes we present a discourse for 2 hours, and at the end, somebody, the only thing from a 2-hour discourse, they'll remember you made a subject and verb error. You know, that is the way. But he will remember all the good things that you said, and he will overlook whatever small, or even if it's a big size error, he will always chat with you about it. So, you know, it's someone, he was dedicated to his religion. He was dedicated to the practice in his own way to his religion. Because you understand, as Pandit Baldev said, Mame vamsho jiva loke jiva bhutah sanatanaha manaha shashtan indriyani prakriti-stani karishati. That we are just a small spark of the divine soul. And the time will come, and when we have exhausted all our karmas, we will revert back. You know, just like the lota of water, we take up with the kush grass, and you see drops of water falling. But when the drops of water fall back into the lota, and if I ask you, can you identify the drops that fell back in the lota? None. Because the drops have merged back into the source. And so we too have come from God. Ultimately, we have to return to God, and the preparation that we make is all that will eventually count. This is why some people are well remembered after death, and some people are immediately forgotten after death. It is how we live our lives, how we cultivate relationships, and how we exchange all the different things and blessings that God has granted to us in this life. And he was a wonderful example. He was a wonderful soul, always filled with positivity, always filled with energy, and always looking to make a useful contribution. You know, he's not a critic to just find fault or say something uselessly or make a negative criticism. He was always seeking to say something positive and to do something positive. So I just invite you to clasp your hands as I just offer prayer. May Bhagwan, who is the source of all mercy, Daya Sagar Kripa Sindhu, the ocean of compassion and mercy, as he travels through the next lunar year, and then whatever happens as per the will of God, as per his karma. But we pray, may all such things be precious and blessed. Hari Om. Om Mukam Karotu Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Paramanandam Madhavam Hari Om Samacharan Sarojam Sanjanilam Budabham Jagananihita Paunim Mandana Mandananam Taruna Tulsimala Kandharam Kanjanitram Saredavalahasam Vittalam Chintayami Hari Om Shanti 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 Ram Nam Satya Hai.
So as you would realize, it's a closed casket, so there is no viewing. So what I would do, since there is no viewing, I will do one verse of a bhajan while we sit and reflect on the individual, Mr. Mathur. We can have the viewing, as Pandit Bhadaya said, that's really a perfect representation of the gentleman, that picture. That's a very good representation. So just for a few moments, then we'll do one prayer, and then the family members along with whoever will take to the crematorium somewhere downstairs, I am told. Yeah. So let's all join. Whoever can, sit, reflect on the individual for a few moments. We join in Hamare Prabhu Avagun Chittanadharo. Oh my Lord, please don't take into consideration my avagun, my shortcomings, my faults. You are Samadarshi. You look upon all equally. That's one of your name. One of your name is Samadarshi. Therefore, you take me into your own arms. Hamare Prabhu avaguna chetana dharo. Hamare Prabhu avaguna chetana dharo. Hamare Prabhu avaguna chetana dharo. Samadarshi hai naam tumhara, chahe to par karo. Samadarshi hai naam tumhara, चाहे तो पार करो. हमारे प्रभु अवगुण चेतना धरो. एक लोहा, एक नदिया, एक नाल कहावत. There is a river, and that is flowing, and that river is called the Ganga. There is a dirty stream that is also flowing and then flows into the Ganga. When that dirty stream flows into the Ganga, that Ganga which is sanctifying, that dirty water also gets sanctified when it flows into the Ganga. I am like the dirty stream, O Lord, you are the Ganga. When I flow into you, when I merge into you, I will be purified and I will be liberated. एक नदिया एक नाल कहावत मैलो नीर भरो. हो रामा मैलो नीर भरो. एक नदिया एक नाल कहावत मैलो नीर भरो. हो रामा मैलो नीर भरो. जब मिल गया तब एक वरन भयो. सुरसरी नाम पढ़ो. हमारे प्रभु अवगुण चितना धरो. हमारे प्रभु अवगुण चितना धरो. हमारे प्रभु अवगुण चितना धरो. So we join at this time in prayer. So I invite you all to stand for a moment as we join in these final verses, final mantras. No, let us sit. Let us sit. Om Anadhin Dhano Deva Shankha Chakra Gadadhara Akshaya Pundarekaksha Preta Moksha Prado Bhava Atase Pushpa Sankasam Petavasa Samuchyutam Ye Namasyanti Govinda Natesham Vidyate Bhayam Krishna Krishna Kripalo Tvam Agatinam Gatirbhava Sansar Ardhava Magananam Prasida Purushottama. Om Hiranyagarbha Purushaha Bhyaktya Bhyakswarupini Asya Pretasya Mokshartha Supreta Bhava Sarvada. Bolo Vishnu Bhagavan Ki Jai. Take out the ring, loose it, and just place it on here. So at this time, those who will be taken for the cremation, Ira, one of you can talk to the persons here, and yeah, and you all will accompany, I guess, for the final.
Thank you so much for coming, and we're going to have a private cremation. So we really are very grateful for each and every one of you. You've given us strength on possibly one of the saddest days of our lives, but with you, we all feel like a sense of the hope that Baba always has. So thank you and namaste. Thank you for coming.
Checking.
I think when it's convenient. My condolences.
Thank you, Jimmy.
My condolences. Oh, thank you very much.
Should we stay a little longer?
I don't know. You don't need to, but we're very happy to have you. Wonderful. Stay
Yeah,
longer.
I'll stay a little longer.
Can I turn this off?